Entonces, buenas tardes para todos y para todas. Mi nombre es Juana E. Zapata, soy dominicana, vivo en Lowell y hoy estoy aquí como miembro de MVP para darles la bienvenida a todos.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juana Zapata. I'm a Dominican from Lowell, and I'm here, one of the leaders of MVP. And I want to say welcome everyone here.
Para mí es un placer estar con ustedes hoy y les aviso que estamos aquí no solamente para hablar de problemas, sino para reconocer cuáles son los que están afectando hoy a nuestras comunidades.
For me, it's a pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to welcome everyone again. But I want to remind everybody that we're here today not only to talk about the issues or the problems that affect our communities, but also to recognize that we have the power to do something about it and the respect to do so.
El Merrimack Valley Project o MVP es una coalición multirracial de organizaciones de fe, sindicatos y organizaciones comunitarias que trabajamos juntos por la justicia racial y económica en todo el Valle del Merrimack.
The Merrimack Valley Project is a multicultural coalition of faith-based organizations, labor unions, and community organizations working together for racial and economic justice throughout the Merrimack Valley.
Y esto es precisamente lo que hace especial este momento. La agenda del pueblo no fue creada por políticos ni por la cúspide pudiente de esta comunidad. Fue creada por la voz del pueblo. Nos reunimos, compartimos nuestras experiencias y identificamos los principales problemas que afectan a nuestra comunidad y cuáles son los primeros que les vamos a presentar a nuestros representantes.
And that is precisely what makes this moment special. The People's Agenda was not created by politicians or imposed from the top down. It was built upon by people from our communities. We came together, listened to one another's experiences, and decided which priorities we want to bring to our leaders.
Y hoy queremos proponerles para que pensemos en algo. Y este algo es cuánto podemos lograr y cómo cambiaría nuestra realidad si en vez de enfrentar solo nuestros problemas, nos juntamos como comunidad y fortalecemos nuestro poder.
Today, I want us to think about something. What can we accomplish when we stop facing our problems alone and begin organizing together?
Nuestras comunidades tienen poder. Tenemos poder cuando nuestras voces se unen, cuando hacemos las preguntas difíciles y cuando exigimos que quienes buscan representarnos escuchen a las personas que vivimos con esos problemas en nuestro día a día.
Because our communities have power. We have power when our voices come together, when we ask difficult questions, and when we demand that those who seek to represent us listen to the people who experience these problems every day.
Así que les invito a escuchar, a participar y sobre todo a recordar que esta agenda nos pertenece a nosotros.
So I invite you to participate, to listen, and above all, to remember that the agenda belongs to us.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí y muchas gracias por ser parte de este movimiento.
Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you everyone for being part of this movement.
Figure this microphone out here. So welcome to the Merrimack Valley Project First Regional Town Hall. My name is Stephanie Monahan Blout, and I'm from Amesbury, one of the Seacoast Region leaders. So this is a great crowd. This is really, really exciting. How many people are from Lowell? Whoa! How about Lawrence? Haverhill? Whoa! I don't know, Haverhill's pretty good here. How about Andover? A couple, that's great. What about the Seacoast region? Hey, okay. There's a lot of other small towns I haven't mentioned, but we all came here together and this is really great. We want to welcome all of our speakers who took the time from their campaigning to talk with us this evening. As part of our goal of finding politicians who will work for us, we are here to learn about you and your ideas about making this valley a better place to live. So, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and my youngest sister is 10 years younger than me. So you can imagine, my house is kind of chaotic sometimes. But one of the things that happened when I was a kid and I learned was when the chips were down, everybody came together. That's where I learned about community and the power of working together for the important things. That's what attracted me to MVP. The Merrimack Valley Project, as Gwana said, is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization composed of faith groups, unions, and community groups who fight for racial and social justice. We are affiliated with the Massachusetts Community Action Network, or MCAN, and the National Coalition of Faith in Action. There are 2 major tenets of guiding the activities of MVP. The first is that collective voices are louder and harder to ignore than individual ones. The second is that the people who are closest to the problems are the ones who can best generate the solutions. Thank you, Julio. Those 2 tenets form our community organizing principles. Now, you saw this organizing in 2024 during the whole Steward health crisis and bankruptcy, when MVP brought attention to the closure of the Holy Family hospitals in Methuen and Haverhill, and then worked with state and municipal leaders to come up with a plan to combine the Holy Family hospitals with Lawrence Hospital into the Merrimack health system, therefore making sure that there was health that was going to be provided throughout the valley. Okay. You also see the impact, I gotta stay next to this thing here. You also gotta see the impact of this organizing in this room. Everyone here has played some part in making this event happen. Since June, people have been getting their friends, their neighbors, their fellow congregants, their union members, and community group mates to meet together in listening sessions. During these listening sessions, people spoke of the needs for their community as well as what their hopes were for the future. We had over 20 listening sessions throughout the valley. That's pretty darn good. Now, how many of you held a listening session or led a listening session? This is great, okay. How many of you participated in a listening session? Wow. How many of you heard about a listening session from your friend because you couldn't go but you wanted to know what happened? Now, the information from these sessions was collected and then presented at the People's Assembly in late July. How many of you guys went to the People's Assembly? All right, another. Over 120 people voted on what we felt were the most significant issues for the Valley. By a wide margin, we identified our biggest needs to be housing, immigration, and health care. The questions for tonight were developed from the information that was shared during the listening sessions and the People's Assembly, and we'll talk about those more in a bit. But what I want to do right now is I want to talk with you about what our shared vision is for the future of this valley. We want to build a place where no one is losing sleep because they don't know what they would do if they got evicted. We want to build a place where no one risks serious illness because they don't have a primary care doctor who can help them with their diabetes, their heart conditions, their arthritis. We want to build a valley where no child is afraid to go to school because their parents might be detained by ICE and they would be left alone. And most of all, we want to build a place where all of us are treated with dignity, no matter the color of our skins, the neighborhood we live in, the people we love, or the land where we were born. Now, before we move on to the questions, I want to talk about a few ground rules. They're just two, but I think they're important. Let's be respectful of everyone's right to their own opinion, as well as the right for each of us to disagree. We can do that with enthusiasm, but please, no name-calling. Yeah. Secondly, because we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, we cannot have any partisan activity. Any campaigning like holding signs or fundraising or flyers, things like that, we really can't have that. So if there are any people who violate that, you will be asked to leave, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Right. So I am now going to turn you over to Caroline Snow, our proud representative from Lowell, and she will lead you through the next part of this program.
I am not Caroline Snow, but before Caroline goes up, I'm Julio Mejia. I'm the Executive Director of the Merrimack Valley Project. Thank you. For folks that need translation, para personas que necesitan traducción, si puede pasar a la esquina aquí con el señor Miguel y José que tiene su mano levantado. If you need translation for Spanish, please head over to the corner with Miguel and they'll attend to you. Thank you. That's to Caroline.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Caroline Snow. I am the Lowell chapter lead and a board member. Growing up, my mother was a holder of our health insurance. As a preschool teacher, she was laid off each summer, and thus we would have no health insurance during the summer months. As this was the norm for us, as a family, we figured out a pattern. Buy all of our medications before the summer months ran out, or before the summer started, and pray we did not get sick. When I was 15, this pattern broke. I needed my asthma medication a week before we had insurance again. The medication I needed cost $3,000. Our family did not have this money, nor did we know anyone who did. This cost represented groceries for the next couple of months for our household. Do I not breathe properly for a week, or do we sacrifice eating? This decision should not be something a teenager has to think about. My family and I felt powerless. Raise your hand if you've ever felt powerless. Look around the room and take a note of how many people raise their hands. Who benefits from us feeling powerless? I am here today to remind everyone, both in this room and those beyond, that we, by being here, are powerful. We are turning our struggle into power. We are telling the world that everyone must have access to proper health care. Everyone should not fear detainment or deportation by simply stepping outside of their house. And we are telling people that everyone should have access to proper housing.
Yep.
While we listen to the candidates' responses to the People's Agenda today, I ask that we reflect on not only what topics the questions raise, we spent a lot of time crafting these questions, but also how each politician answers these questions. We are here to listen to their answers and use that information to shape how we vote in the upcoming elections. I want to emphasize elections. We do have a primary for some of the candidates you see. What do each of their answers mean in this moment, and how will they affect our Merrimack Valley and our Massachusetts? We must remember we have the power to create positive change. Next up is Lily.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. My name is Lily, and I am a MVP leader. I reside in Haverhill, Mass., and I attend Calvary Baptist Church. Today, I'll be asking a few questions to our State House candidates. And starting with the first candidate, please stand and introduce yourself. Thank you. Yes.
Hello.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. My name is Elena Reyes. I'm running for the state RAS, listing Essex. I am my pleasure to be here to listen what is your concern to moving forward through the state.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. Boa tarde. My name is Lorena Betts, and I'm running for the 16th Middlesex, not Essex, district, which covers two neighborhoods in Lowell, Pawtuckaville and Centralville. Do we have anybody from Pawtuckaville and Centralville here? No, so Chelmsford, part of Chelmsford, North Chelmsford, which is where I live, and the Westlands. I am also very grateful to be here. Oh, Chelmsford, yes.
Thank you.
North Chelmsford. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful for the work of Merrimack Valley Project. I always say we're all organizers in some manner. And the fact that you showed up here today is because you care. And also, I'm pretty sure you're also an organizer in your own neighborhoods and communities. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here on a Sunday afternoon, and thank you, Merrimack Valley Project, for organizing this. This is amazing. My name is Harini Iyer, and I am running for the 17th Middlesex District as state rep candidate. The 17th Middlesex consists of parts of Lowell, so Belvedere, South Lowell, anyone from South Lowell here? Yay. Back Central, anybody from Back Central? Downtown, and a tiny part of Lower Highlands, which is where I happen to be lucky to live, and a single precinct in Tewksbury. So it's a very, very diverse district, socioeconomically, culturally, racially. There's so many different types of people with different backgrounds, and I am so lucky to be asking for their votes and trying to represent them. And the issues are also as complex.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
Good evening, Hello? Does it work? Yeah. Cool. Good evening, everyone. My name is Taylor Hall.
Yeah, try the other mic.
Yeah. Hey, that's worse. Hi everyone, I'm State Representative Tim Hong. I'm a representative for the 18th Middlesex District in Lowell, which is the Highland and the Acre neighborhood. Yeah, we got some Highland baby in here. And I'm running for my re-election this year into a second term. I'm here to hoping to have a constructive conversation together, learn each of the candidates, and hoping to ask for everyone in the district and all part of Merrimack Valley to come out to vote for the best candidate that can represent our community together and move our Massachusetts forward in the best interest of the people. Thank you for everyone to come out.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Drinkwater. Appreciate all of you taking the time to be here this afternoon into the Merrimack Valley Project for organizing this great event. I am a candidate for state representative in the 17th Middlesex District. We just mentioned the neighborhoods that represents Belvedere, South Lowell, Back Central, Downtown, and Precinct 1 in Tewksbury. I think I just mentioned them all. And
Lower Highlands.
in your, of course, the home of a small piece of the Lower Highlands. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I look forward to engaging with you and all of your questions this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for being here. Gracias por todos estar aquí. My name is Stephen Roth. I'm running for state representative for the 1st Essex District, which is Newburyport, Salisbury, precincts 2 through 5 in Amesbury, and in Merrimack. So I thank the Merrimack Valley Project for putting this on. And again, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you to the Merrimack Valley Project for hosting this and attracting such a large audience. This is great to see. My name is Ted Smesny. I live in Amesbury. I'm running for State Senate for the 2nd Essex and Middlesex District. So that includes Amesbury, Merrimack, a good portion of Haverhill, a good portion of North Andover, Tewksbury, Wilmington. So once again, happy to be here, and I look forward to a great discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your introductions. And at this time, I will first ask you a series of long-form questions. Each of you will have 2 minutes to provide your response. Our timekeeper, Mr. DeVoe, will give you a warning halfway through your time, and we'll ask the audience to applaud when you reach your time limit. We will follow the long-form questions with a series of yes or no. And you will have a flag to raise for yes and for no. So guess what? The people have spoken. Now it's time to hear from you. Please be respectful of your constituents and mindful of the time. And with that, here is your first question. So your first question will be on housing. We all know that affordable housing is still often unaffordable. How would you make affordable housing actually affordable for mass residents? And each of you will have a time to answer this question. 2 minutes, please. First candidate, yes.
Thank you for.
Someone else's mic is on.
Yes, please.
Thank you for that question because that's very important to our community. When we're talking about housing, when we're talking about affordable housing, we need to find out what is our vision and mission, trust that information, because we don't have any more affordable housing. Our people cannot sustainable through the rent because it's too high. We need to find out the better way to identify what is the mean housing from our community. What is that mean from the state? Because when we're thinking about housing, we're not talking only about building new building. No, we're talking about what our working family need through affordable housing. Because right now, our family is cannot sustainable with the high cost we have right now through the housing cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an issue that I've been hearing at the doors pretty much from everyone, from homeowners to people who are renting. It is a big struggle, is one of the top issues that we need to tackle right now. And as was mentioned before, building housing is like at the top priority, but it's not the only solution. It's not going to solve this problem. So I see somebody, should I pull the microphone a little further? Yeah. Thank you. So building more housing, we have passed the Affordable Homes Act, so making sure to bring that money to our district, motivate more building. However, we also need to pay attention to the people who are renting, to tenants. Tenants protection, rent control, we need to have that in our communities. I don't think that tenants are having enough of a voice right now in the state legislature, so we need to prioritize that. And when we're building, of course, I will be thinking about the uniqueness of each part of our district. I'm not thinking of overburdening communities that are already overly dense. But if we don't pass legislation to build more housing, the communities that should also be sharing part of that responsibility are not doing. So we need every community to share in this responsibility. Also thinking about those big private investors. I'm not against private investors buying homes, but they need to build affordable homes. And we do need to get those big corporate private investors outlawed in Massachusetts. There is a bill right now at the State House that I support, and so keeping huge private investors out of our community is also important. So I'll be a #1 advocate for not only homeowners, but tenants at the State House. Thank you. Yeah.
Housing is a cause that is very, very close to my heart. I have been a renter for most of my 20s and 30s, but I also was unhoused when I found myself out of a job, and I also had medical debt. The best thing that I could do was give up my apartment and live out of a car, because that was the biggest expense. And I did not qualify for housing assistance because I only had a green card. And so I understand how the immigration, healthcare, and housing intertwine from personal lived experience. That said, here are some solutions. Housing supply, obviously everybody goes for it, but it takes time to build supply. Therefore, we need to make sure that we have a rent freeze. Rent stabilization, there is all of this back and forth, but rent freeze, we did it during COVID, so we can do it again quickly. Let's do a time-limited rent freeze, make sure that the people are stable, that they can afford their homes, and then work out the solution, okay? Second, renters, tenants' rights, yes, but I also, when people rent for most of their 20s, I did. When I came out and when I was trying to buy a home, all of the time that I paid my rent on time does not count towards my credit. But one bad rent payment, it counts, it dings my credit. So let's make sure that landlords can report on-time rent payment towards positive credit. So that is the third one is basically let's repurpose structures and create new mixed income developments. We do not want to segregate people as low housing assistants and shut them away in rodent infested building. We want them to be among us, make sure that everybody lives happily together.
Well, affordable housing and affordability in our community are really important that we need to tackle on more tougher in the way to make everything more affordable, from renting to buy food and so on. As a renter right now, my rent each month is like $25.60. That's more than half of the paycheck that I got from as a state representative. And we barely make ends meet with my fiance at home. In my first term, right now, I fought hard to find a way to build more housing, to address the issues together by capturing the money from the Affordable Home Act that passed by the governor and a few years ago, to use that money to build more housing in the district that I serve. I'm proud to be able to help secure tax credit to help Lowell Housing Authority to build 118 affordable units in the Acre neighborhood, and we'll continue to work together with those nonprofits out there from CBA, Lowell Housing Authority, CTI, to continue to seek the funding that are available out there, and how can we use that for the benefit of our community. And as a state representative, that's what I've been doing, and I will continue to do so, and I strongly support any zoning reform in the sense of how can we make more housing build faster in our community. I am able to work with Representative Andy Vargas to help pass their allowing religion institution to build affordable housing in the economic bond bill, and that is the big thing that we'll continue to advocate for and pass it and get the governor to sign into law. Thank you.
Thank you. Housing is such a crisis right now that as a state legislature, we have to do many different things and we have to do them all fast. The fact of the matter is, demand is far outpacing the supply of housing in the state. That's just very simply creating a supply and demand issue. So first, we need to be building more housing. We need to be building and creating many different types of housing. That's everything from emergency shelter to address the very, very urgent need of individuals and families who are living on the street, who are living in cars and who need quality emergency shelter. And that goes all the way to creating opportunities for home ownership to allow people to stop paying rent and start building equity that can create generational wealth that many homeowners have had the opportunity to benefit from now for generations. So how do we do that? One, we have to support programs that make housing affordable, make rents affordable, support existing affordable housing programs, support public housing, both upgrading our existing public housing stock and being able to allow local housing authorities to create new forms of public housing to meet the needs of many people out there who would qualify for public housing. And we need every single type of community and neighborhood to be a part of the solution here. That doesn't just go for communities that are already dense. We need to lean on neighborhoods like those that are currently zoned for single-family housing to figure out how we create housing opportunities for people in neighborhoods that have historically been exclusionary in terms of their zoning policy. So I give credit to the legislature for creating an accessory dwelling unit policy that will create more density in single-family neighborhoods, and I give credit to the Senate, and I hope the House will follow in creating a duplex by right policy that will create more density in single-family housing, single-family neighborhoods as well. So let's build more housing of all types to be able to address that requirement.
Thank you. Housing is a human right, and thank you, full stop. Housing is a human right. And unfortunately, in this state, housing has turned into a commodity where businesses, private equity are coming in and buying large swaths of housing and making it very unaffordable. And so when I started this campaign, I'm a lawyer, I do immigration law and criminal defense, and so housing, I see how it affects people, but I wasn't really knowledgeable on the issue. And so what I did was I reached out to one of my good friends, Isaac, at Lynn United for Change. I don't know if anyone knows that organization. They're on the front lines of the housing crisis. And I talked with Isaac, and he said, and everyone on this panel has talked about, some of the important things, investing in public housing, making sure that we are not just subsidizing private builders, but that we're working on public land trusts and publicly owned housing, because that is the way that we allow for people to continue living in those homes in perpetuity and not having them sold out from underneath them in the future. But one of the things that Isaac told me was that we need to keep people in housing. That's one of the best ways, and so there's a wide variety of ways that we can do that. Changing a just cause eviction, allowing for the possibility for people to buy if their building is being sold. There are many ways allowing for people to be appointed a lawyer if they're in eviction proceedings, because those people are up against. Yes. Thank you.
I've run a very grassroots campaign. I've knocked on thousands of doors, and I can absolutely confirm. Try it.
Oh yeah.
Is that better? Yeah, that's definitely better. I'm going to put this one aside. Okay, so running a very grassroots campaign, as I said, I've knocked on thousands of doors. Absolutely can confirm this is across the board. People are suffering with high housing costs and cost of living here. It's a very comprehensive issue. There are many things involved here when you're talking about issues complex as this, but I've put it into 3 categories. Number 1 is going to be structural. I've heard a couple of people talk about things such as large institutional buyers, private equity. I do believe that that is a problem. Sort of just generally speaking, the concentration of power and monopolies, it's not just housing, but it's sort of across board. It's something we've got to tackle as a society. And it's something I would look at, certainly as a state senator, to try to find ways to limit the concentration of power from private equity and so forth. Number 2 is going to be in the area of zoning. Now, I'm not a fan of one-size-fits-all zoning, these overburdensome laws coming at the state level. We have 352 communities, they're all very diverse. But I think there's a lot of creative ways you can do it at the local level, things such as granny flats, finding more ways to allow for more dense housing, looking at things such as rules regarding number of tenants or people allowed in individual housing units. Those are things that could be looked at. But I also say things such as, I know a lot of times there's good intentions with sort of building codes and rules related to building new housing, but that comes with costs. So we got to be careful about the laws that we pass. They're going to greatly increase the cost of building homes and lower the rate that can be built because of the bureaucracy. But the final point is something that I haven't really heard yet, but it's more the economic development side. From the side of the demand side, and make sure we bring in more higher paying jobs in the region, put more money in people's pockets so they can afford to keep up with the housing as well. That's another angle as well. So,
thank you so much for your answers. Now, let's move on to immigration. The PROTECT Act limits corporations between local and federal law enforcement. How would you enforce these limits and ensure that federal agents and or local enforcement are held accountable for violating these acts?
Thank you for that question. We're working every day. We are working family to our immigration family, to our cities. When I came, I had the privilege to talk with Susan and Susan Wright. I go out. We think through the state we need to inform the police to identify what is the more better protocol or line to support our working family. Because when we're talking about to our immigration family, we're talking about not only for the parents, we're talking about from our children, we're talking about for our brother and sister, we're talking about for the whole family. I do a family child care for the last 20 years of my life. I'm working with immigrant people. It is really hard when they go to work. How is the feeling to our children? Because they be afraid, they be scared, because they be tension. They don't know if the parents come back when they go out. We need to implement a strong policy to support and protect the act, to protect our family, because when we're talking about to our immigrant family, we're talking about the people working hard to moving forward our city. It's not like sometimes we put it on the news, we have about people from different countries. Now, it's not that way. We need to protect our immigrants to moving forward. At the same time, we protect our children and the whole component to our family.
Say that.
I should not have to carry this with me everywhere I go. I am very grateful for the current state legislature for passing the PROTECT Act. That was a huge win, and you were part of that, so thank you. You were. Now, as they say, a law without reinforcement is a law with no teeth. So we need some teeth in there, right? We need to make sure that this is enforced. So some things we can do, we can advocate for a clear way for reporting, for police to file, every time ICE asks for cooperation, that needs to be reported. And every time, and they need to report what they answered as well. Okay? We need clear ways for communities to, multilingual ways for communities to report when incidents happen, so that can be followed up, because if this is, the law is not being followed, how do we report that?
Yep.
We also need clear ways for accountability. We need to know what's going to happen if this law is not followed. You can count on me to be advocating for that every single day. Right now, my parents are talking about maybe moving back to Brazil, even though they're green card holders. Because every time the police stops them in New Hampshire, they're afraid. So this is personal, and I'm going to be a very ferocious fighter at the State House. You can count on this.
What she said. But seriously, as an immigrant, I have experienced the entire bureaucracy of what it feels like to be othered every time you encounter somebody. Just this past weekend, somebody said that they will call a cop on me because I had parked my car in the wrong place. The fact that they feel empowered to do that and that they would say that to me, that is very, very sad. But beyond that, here's how what Lorena said about PROTECT Act having accountability. The amendment has to make sure that the enforcement happens, and that if the enforcement is not made, that there are repercussions. That needs to actually be put in place, because what we wanted was a wall, what we got was a sea. There are a lot of loopholes. The one loophole that I would like to really close is the loophole that does not regulate the automated license plate readers or the flock cameras. There is zero regulation of flock cameras in Massachusetts, and it is a gaping hole. And it is owned by Mark Andreessen, who is a very clear and there is no backdoor exit to stopping to make sure that the data collected by these readers does not get purchased by DHS or ICE on the back end. So we need to close that flock loophole. That is the thing that I'll be advocating for. Thank you.
This topic about protecting immigrants, protecting and able to pass the PROTECT Act is really personal to me, myself included, like many of the speakers have mentioned. As an immigrant, come from Cambodia 12, 13 years ago, the idea of just walking down the street and maybe got picked up by a random guy with a mask, that's stupid crazy to me. And we live in the United States of America. I came from a one-party rural country this is happening, and this country should not happen, exist like that. And as a state representative in my first term, I am proud to be able to work with my colleague from the Black and Latino caucus to the Asian caucus, Asian American caucus, to be able to help pass this bill, the PROTECT Act, to ensure our state to have a strong law that are protecting our immigrant community all across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The law has been passed. Now it's up to the governor to enforce that. Our job as a state legislature will continue to work as a state legislature to help ensure that the executive branch of government do their part to enforce this law and get it done and make everybody safe, no matter what they speak, where they come from, or what they look like. So that's my role, and we'll continue to work to make that happen in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. What is happening out on our streets right now at the hands of ICE is just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for so many families out there.
Yes, it is.
And I want to thank the legislature for passing the PROTECT Act. We are very lucky to live in a state where both our branches have taken steps to protect our immigrant communities. Now we're at a point where we need to make sure this law is working and is being enforced. Because what ICE likes to take advantage of is people not knowing their rights. We need individuals to know their rights, and we need allies to know their constitutional rights and the constitutional rights of others. Because what is going to happen, it's great to have the PROTECT Act, but does every school employee actually know what to do if ICE shows up? The fact of the matter is, they may want to do the right thing, but they may not know what the right thing is. And when someone comes in with a level of authority, flashing a piece of paper, the fact of the matter is, a very well-meaning person may not make the right decision in the moment. That goes at schools, that goes at other public places like courthouses, so it's incumbent on us as a legislature to make sure that employees of these institutions, as well as people who want to be allies, are getting trained to know how to respond in a situation where ICE shows up. I work for a union with many immigrant members, where they go to work and they are vulnerable to someone showing up and, like you said, throwing around a piece of paper. And, ICE will go as far as to say, hey, it's okay. If you have documents, you stand over here, everyone else stand over here. We need to know, no, you don't go stand over there because you have documents. You stay right where you are. We need to stand up. We need to stand up for everyone in our community. So it's about getting people out there to know your rights and know how to respond in those situations, and also to make sure we're using provisions in the law to be able to use our rights to file civil action against a federal officer that violates those rights. We need to know how to respond in those situations. Thank you.
Thank you. For 14 years, I've been an immigration attorney. I've stood by my immigrant clients who have faced deportation. I've stood by them in habeas proceedings in federal court in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And the last year and a half has just been awful. And I'm also a public defender. I do bar advocate work. And I personally walked out of criminal court and had ICE waiting for my client to be swiftly arrested, taken out, and deported. And the fact that I no longer have to sit in court and look over my shoulder to wonder if ICE is in the courtroom makes me very, very, very happy. And I want to thank everyone who advocated for the PROTECT Act. And while I do have, there are some issues that I do have with the PROTECT Act. Overall, it's really great. But I want to say that there are some things that we need to do to make for it to be enforced. One is making sure that we are funding legal aid services who are going to be able to sue the government, ACLU, bring about legal services. Because without the people to fight and file those lawsuits, and maybe I'll be one of them, and then also, the Attorney General's office, So we also, I'm sorry to mention it, maybe it's not related, but end all 287G agreements with ICE. We have one left. I know there's no more in the future, but we need to end the one that we have now. And then also building the record, not just relying on police and jails to provide the information about ICE activity, but relying on grassroots organizations like LUCE and other organizations that are collecting that data that can be used in lawsuits.
All right, well, I'm going to be a bit of an outlier here from the rest of the panel, so, but, you know, we're all feeling it as a society that we're losing our sense of community, we're losing our control, and I think a lot of it comes down to trust, right? We don't trust each other, governments don't trust each other, the state, the federal government don't trust each other. To me, the PROTECT Act further divides us and breaks that trust. Immigration is a federal issue. Now, I'm the biggest defender of the First Amendment, people, the rights to protest, and I have problems with people cracking down on people's ability to protest, you know, throwing around terrorist charges, all that kind of stuff. I will defend you there, but you know, when it comes to our population in Massachusetts, actually, when you look at the statistics, the biggest problem we have is we have mass out-migration of the domestic population. We are 46 in the country with the number of people leaving this state. We're one of the top states in terms of immigrants coming in. Why are so many people leaving the state? We've got to look at many issues across the board when it comes to our policies. And again, I'm not saying the federal government obviously is perfect on this issue, not at all. But this breaks the trust. If you're a police officer, if you're a public safety official, we're adding more layers of confusion. How can they do their jobs? Again, it's just, we've got to find a way to address it. This, again, there's a question about the constitutionality of this, of course, about the PROTECT Act. And, you know, we've got to, again, I'm a first generation immigrant. I understand, I've got family stories of real terror coming from totalitarian societies. I understand the importance of immigration. I do, but it's got to be lawfully done, and we've got to do it in a way that we can trust.
I want to thank each and every one of you for your question, for your answers. Now, let's move on to health care. Mental health issues and addiction often get swept under the rug, and support is hard to access, as you know. How would you address root causes and support sustainable recovery?
Well, it's a really good question. When we're talking about healthcare, it's very touched to me because right now I need to pay monthly almost $2,000, and it's not covered everything I need because when I go to pick up my prescription, they say, it's not covered because you're insured, it's not covered. Vitamins, it's not covered. But when you have and cover your personal health care, it's not covered something simple like a vitamin. What are you thinking about mental health? Our people need to have receiving therapy or some service through the health care is not covered. It's hard because we put our family in risk. When we're talking about healthcare, it's very touched to me because our community deserves to have the right to receive care at the front hand. When we're talking about our community, when you need to running around with the people don't have access to have health care, and you asking it again and passing by and asking for them, and they say, they is not here because they pass away. It's really hard. It's really hard to me talking this topic today because last year I lost my best friend because she had cancer, but when they recovered was late because she don't have access to have health care. It's really hard. We need to find for our people. The people choose us to representing us through the state. We need to fight very hard to represent the people, vote for us to survive because our community deserves more better services. Thank you. Thank you.
There are so many of the issues we're talking about here today that if we hesitate, people die. People should not die because of lack of access to services. Healthcare, as someone said here earlier, is a human right. This year we got the closest we ever got to pass Medicare for all in Massachusetts. It was the furthest I ever got, and you can count on me to fight to get that to the finish line and make that a reality in our state. We need to take care of our elderly. Home care PCAs are very hard to find right now to hire. We need to take care of our elderly, so investing in that is also a priority. Bulk purchase medication. We need to lower the cost of prescription medication. And honestly, when I think about mental health care and addiction, that is an issue that is deeply connected to housing. I have talked to friends who told me, you go get the treatment, and then when you leave, you get back to the street. How can someone worry about getting better when they don't know where they're going to sleep at night? Come on now. So I am for, yes, housing first, not because it's only housing, it's because we need housing and we need treatment, both, not either or. And if some people may think, oh, okay, where is all that money coming from and things like that? When it comes to healthcare, just because you don't budget for it doesn't mean you don't pay for it. Because if we don't have enough access to primary care physicians, we are going to have more what? Emergency room visits. Who pay for that? We pay no matter what. So let's get smart, let's pass Medicare for all in our state, and let's make healthcare more good.
Healthcare is a human right.
Yeah.
And I know from lived experience what kind of knock-on effects losing healthcare can have. Lose healthcare, get into medical debt, lose a job, lose housing. It's a domino. I have lived that. So when it comes to healthcare, as Lorena said, we are closest to having single-payer healthcare. That is the destination. That is the destination that I will continue to drive towards, single-payer healthcare. Massachusetts can be a paragon for everybody else to follow. We will do it, we'll make it work, we'll let everybody in the nation follow it. When it comes to, I believe addiction is a mental health issue. Therefore, the approach to treating addiction has to be a pharmacological intervention, housing first, and a wraparound rehabilitation. Wrap around, including community involvement and making sure that we do not rehabilitate people only for them to keep coming back. We need to have laws that take into account the facts on the ground rather than just assumptions. We do not want to act on assumptions. That is what I believe. Massachusetts residents deserve better. They deserve better health care. They deserve better responsibility from their state legislature.
I serve one of the diverse community in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, diverse district in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And a lot of people English is their second language. And they have a hard time in making the connection on how they apply for Mass Health, how they can go to hospital, seek for medical support, and so on, right? And I think the main issue that we all should talk about right now is the Mass Health new requirement from the federal government that will impact many of us in this room, impact senior, elderly, that are on Medicare, Medicare right now, that will affect their benefit. That is something that the state have to continue to work and try to make that requirement on how to get, when you apply to get on Mass Health, more easier and more affordable to even get on that as well. That is something that myself and many of my colleagues I'm a part of the Progressive Caucus at the State House, that we're working together and trying to find a different solution on how to tackle on this issue together. And I strongly support in the sense of Medicare for all. This year was the first year ever it moved out a committee as where it is. So we have to continue to keep the momentum going, because when that happens, dear goodness, we're all going to have some real stress relief in our community on where and how can we afford go to hospital and so on. So we have to continue the advocacy together. We cannot do this alone. I cannot do this alone. The work that you guys do are amazing, and we're going to keep this momentum going and make this happen. Thank you.
It's been said already, but I just want to reiterate that ultimately healthcare is a human right, and the solution to this problem is a single-payer Medicare for all system. I support it at the state level. It needs to happen at the national level. So we're happy. So whether we're talking about private pay insurance that exists today or state-funded programs like the state's Medicaid program, I believe this question specifically asks about substance abuse and mental health. These are two great examples where the entire system falls short. Yep. This is where great insurance policies fall short, because there's always a motivation to treat people as quickly as possible and get them out. Because getting people better is expensive, especially when that involves lengthy inpatient stays. And the way to get people better, whether we're talking about serious mental health conditions or whether we're talking about substance use disorder, is to get them into an inpatient setting, typically for weeks at a time. These involve expensive medications. There's no way around it. Treatment is expensive. So one thing we need to do is we need to find a way to deal with that. We're gonna have to pay. And we're gonna have to require private insurers to cover the types of treatments that are going to get people well, because we're already paying for it. We're paying it on the second, third, and fourth times that somebody tries to get themselves better, to get themselves the help they need. People are trying. People are trying to get themselves better, and we need a healthcare system that tries to get it right on the first try, not the second, third, or fourth. Okay? So we need to hold private insurers accountable, and we need to hold ourselves accountable for the programs that we are currently running at the state level to make sure we're covering adequate levels of prescription drug coverage and inpatient medical stays for mental health and substance abuse, along with all other medical conditions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as everyone said here, I'm also for Medicare for all, and I think that that's ultimately the solution. But I think, so as a bar advocate, and I also do adult guardianship work for incapacitated individuals. The fact is that there is a cycle of emergency room, jail, streets, over and over and over again. And there are no beds available. I have clients who sit in jail waiting so that they can go to a bed to be treated for their mental health disorder. And the fact is there's just not enough capacity. So we need to increase capacity. But one thing that people haven't talked about is alternatives to policing. Because when someone is going through a mental health crisis, the last thing that they need is to have a police officer with a gun pointed at them. We need to work with local police chiefs to establish relationships with social workers and psychologists who can be called to the scene to de-escalate instead of escalating for someone to be pushed into a situation where they're going to possibly endanger themselves or others. One other thing that I think is super important is every court in this state should have a mental health court so that people can deal with their issues, be referred to services, and not be treated like someone who they are, as someone who has a mental health disorder. And yes, that may have caused them to do something wrong, but mental health courts is a way to allow for them to help their record and keep them out of the system in the future.
So first off, thank you to the Merrimack Valley Project for bringing up this topic because it is so important. The question was, what is the root cause of this? And we have an absolute epidemic of mental health. People increasingly depressed, suicidal. What is going on in our society to cause this? And this is personal for me because I'm someone who in the past did battle severe depression. I was able to overcome it. So I know the system inside and out. I could talk about this for hours. But really, the angle, and again, the root cause is, to me, it's spiritual. again, in this increasingly surveilled world where the walls are closing in, we're all feeling more and more pressure. We're all feeling more isolated and alone. And we're all losing a sense, like, what's our purpose? What's our purpose here in life? What are we doing here? To me, those are the root issues that we need to get to. And too often, I think now, while money is absolutely important, too often we look for the quick fix. We look for that big pharma fix. The next drug, this drug will help, that drug will help. And while there's a time and a place for that, absolutely, our goal is to try to wean people off that dependence on pharmaceutical drugs. And again, get to that root cause that we're talking about in this question. And to me, I believe strongly that people with addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, mental health issues, they're more important to our society than they realize. We need them to get better, to show us the way to true empathy and to fight through, because when they fight through, they are so strong and they're able to help people find, again, that reconnection of empathy and society that we could all benefit from. So thank you.
Thank you.
We want to thank you so much for your long-form answers. Now, we're going to move on to your yes or no questions. So to make this simple, I'm going to ask all of you to stand up. I will ask a question, and then the only thing you have to do is hold up your yes or no. Keep it simple. Thank you so very much. So your first question is on housing. We ready? Okay. Would you support a ban on no-fault eviction? Yes or no? Thank you. Next question. Again, housing. Do you support allowing cities and towns to adopt rent stabilization? Thank you so much. Now, we will follow up with health care. First question. Would you fight to guarantee access to health care for every Mass resident, regardless of race, employment status, income, sexual orientation, gender identity, or immigration status? Thank you very much. We have two more questions on healthcare. As a part of recovery, do you support providing housing first in order to keep a person safe and engage them in further treatment? Thank you so much. Last question on healthcare. Should Massachusetts guarantee healthcare coverage for residents who lose federal healthcare assistance? Thank you. Now we will move on to immigration, and we have 3 immigration questions. Your first question is, would you work to guarantee legal representation to every immigrant facing deportation who cannot afford an attorney? Thank you for your answer. Second question. Would you support increasing state funding for families affected by detention or deportation? Thank you so much. Last question. Would you advocate for our representatives and senators in Congress in support of a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who have built their lives in the United States? I want to thank each and every one of you for your response. And right now, you can go to the door over there, or you can join the audience. So thank you so very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Mother.
Thank you.